Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something most of us have, but let's be real, almost none of us read, our insurance policy. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's just a boring old contract, but I want you to shift your mindset. Think of it more like a high-stakes user manual for really important financial products you already own.
Come on, be honest. How many of you have said this to yourself? I didn't read my policy. It feels pretty harmless, doesn't it? Just some fine print you'll totally get to eventually. But here's the thing. That one little thought, it's often the very first step toward a total financial nightmare.
Because when this happens, well, saying I didn't read my policy is the one thing that will absolutely not save you. In fact, it's probably the reason you're in that mess to begin with. All right, so how do we make sure that claim denied screen never, ever pops up for you? Well, it all starts with understanding the document itself. Let's really break it down. Let's look at the anatomy of your policy. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is an insurance policy? At its core, it's a legal contract. It's between you and your insurer. And this is the part that so many people miss. It's not a suggestion. It's not some friendly agreement. It is a legally binding document that lays out the official rules of your coverage. No wiggle room. And inside that contract, you'll find everything, all the rules of the game. It's going to specify your cover limits, right? That's the maximum amount the insurer will ever pay out. It'll list all the exclusions, and you got to pay attention to these. That's the stuff they absolutely will not cover. It also states your excess, which is the amount you have to pay out of pocket for a claim, and of course your premium, which is what you pay to keep the policy active. These are the non-negotiables. Okay, so that's all the theory, which is great. But what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's make this real with an example so you can see how these terms can literally make or break your claim. Okay, let's imagine you've got a public liability policy. You look at the details and the limit is, wow, a hefty $10 million. The excess is just $500 and it covers you for injuring other people or damaging their property. Sounds great, right? But then you see this one little line. It excludes professional advice. So what does that mean? It means if a client sues you because you gave them some bad advice, this $10 million policy is completely useless. See how that one word, excludes, changes absolutely everything? Now, here's something a lot of people don't realize. You might think your policy is just one single massive document that you have to slog through, but here's a little pro tip. Your complete policy is actually more like a puzzle. It's made up of several different pieces that all have to fit together to give you the full picture. So what are those puzzle pieces? Well, first, you've got the policy wording. Think of this as the main rulebook. It's the dense legal contract. Then you have the policy schedule. This is what makes it your policy. It personalizes the rulebook with your specific limits and all your details. You'll also get something called a product disclosure statement, or PDS for short. That's basically the summary. And finally, there's the certificate of currency, which is exactly what it sounds like, your official proof that you're covered. Okay, out of all those documents, listen up, because this next one is your golden ticket. Seriously, the product disclosure statement, the PDS, is specifically designed to be a user-friendly summary of that huge, complex policy wording. It's written in much plainer language. So if you're going to read just one thing to start, make it this. Start with the PDS. All right, so we've dissected the policy, we've assembled the puzzle pieces. Now what? Well, now it's time for your action plan. I'm going to give you 3 super simple steps that will take you from feeling confused to feeling totally confident about your coverage. Look, it really just comes down to this. 3 easy steps. Step 1, find and read your product disclosure statement. That's your summary, remember? Your user manual. Step 2, open up your policy schedule and check your specific numbers. What are your limits? What's your excess? And step 3, and this might be the most important one of all, if anything is unclear, just ask. That is literally what your insurance broker is there for. Please don't guess. Because at the end of the day, this isn't really just about reading a bunch of boring paperwork. It's about empowerment. Truly understanding your policy is the single best form of protection you can have. It puts you back in the driver's seat. Think about it this way. Your insurance is a promise. It's a promise from a company that they'll have your back in a crisis. So the one question I want to leave you with today is this. Do you know exactly what's being promised to you?